All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee channel. I'm your host, and we do this live stream about coffee, talking about coffee, anything about coffee, most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So welcome. If you're just joining us, good to see you. And if you're watching us on the replay, well, thanks for watching, and come join us on the regular stream. How's it going, Q&A? Aloha to you. Feeling good to see you. So as you can see here, I'm wearing something a little bit different. This is what we call an aloha shirt in Hawaii, right? And so this is actually, I was gonna start, and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to find an aloha shirt, something like from Hawaii, because today's stuff comes from Hawaii. And I was like, maybe if I should. And I was thinking, I looked in my closet. I was like, I don't have any aloha shirts in here, which is weird because most people from Hawaii will have aloha shirts. So I looked in my other closet where I keep all this old clothes. And I found this. And if you're from Hawaii, you might recognize this shirt because this is a shirt worn by the employees of a company called Roberts Hawaii, which is one of the big transportation companies in the islands. They have transportation on pretty much all of the islands, all the major islands. And back in my college days, I used to work for them, and this was my uniform. And actually, I can't believe that I got it to fit. Although I gotta say, I'm not to college weight yet at the moment. I am kind of sucking it in. There's a part of me that's slightly inhaling at all times, and but you know, it's kind of got guns because it's all like tight. Look at that, it's all tight. But yeah, I used to drive the big tour buses and drove all over the islands. And I was really new to Hawaii when I did that. And it was really kind of funny because people would ask questions. And I would tell them, so I take them around. It's like, if you ask questions, I'll do what I can to answer. But if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to make it up. And sometimes you just had to make things up. You're like, oh, yeah, it's the tree. What kind of tree is that? That's the, Hawaiian kupuna tree. And, but they were on vacation, so they loved it. They're like, oh, that's so wonderful, so wonderful. Power Plant, good morning to you. So what we're doing today is my cousin was visiting from Hawaii last week, and he's got a little company out there where he does cookies. And he does these cookies that he's called Chihoos. And this is a bag of his cookies. And, Power Plant, I should disclose here, this was gifted to me by him. He gave it to me. He was staying at his sister's house not too far from here for the last couple of weeks, and he makes these cookies, and he was like, I'm making cookies while I'm here. So he's baking all these cookies, and I'm just like tearing through them, just tearing. Now, full disclosure, a few years ago when I was in Honolulu and he was just starting up, trying to figure out his recipe, I did help him with the development of this cookie. So I'm very intimately familiar with the cookie, how its recipe and how it's made and all that. But yeah. This is not, but it's not a paid or promotion. I just told him, dude, I will just talk about it because it gives me a chance to eat these cookies again. And actually, it's funny because, he gave one to my brother, right? He left a bag. He gave me a bag one day for my brother. I left it here for them. My brother took it home. And, he's got a wife and two kids. And he was like, dude, I didn't even get to eat one. It's like, yeah. That's it. That's how. So, but we're not going to eat this particular cookie today. This is the normal cookie. So recently he came out with a variant of a version that he calls It. And what this is what they call the coffee backnut crunch version of the cookie. Craig, good morning to you. And this is a little bit different. It's basically the same cookie recipe, but what he's changed, he's infusing the coffee flavor into the butter and maybe adding a little bit of ground coffee into it. I personally don't like ground coffee in foods, mainly because it's like it comes from my days eating chocolate covered espresso beans. The first time I had it, I never liked it because I don't like all the cookie, the coffee crunchy bits. It's just like, anyway, but these are the last ones that he had left. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take these and use these because these are an interesting variant on the cookie. So let me get, I should have brought a little plate down here. Oh, let's use this. We will use this cutting board. we'll just put a few out here. Now, when he was here, he kept, for some reason, he keeps on making like mistakes with his baking, and so he over bakes a couple batches. So for the last couple weeks that he was here, I was really eating his burnt stuff, and I was like, I'll just eat the burnt because you can give away all this stuff. I'll eat the burnt because I'm very familiar with the product, and I'm all right with the. I'm okay with it, but I was telling you should if you end up with burnt stuff, you should actually sell it as a special item. Like many years ago when we were starting out Spro, I was like, and doing our own roasting, so I was like, we're not going to do dark roast. I've told you this story before. No dark roast. And then I made a mistake and I burned a roast, or I made a dark roast one day by accident. And am I going to throw it away? That's a conundrum. And I was like, dude, you just if you eat it, you totally eat it. But if you sell it, you could be, and maybe you could sell it for more. Just charge a little bit more. And I was like, this is a special batch of the dark version, right? So this is the cookie. Marco, good morning to you. Craig says, my Red Barber temper is out for the, oh, awesome. Yeah. Did you get one? You got one? Awesome. Coffee Comes with us. Good morning to you. So this is this is the cookie. This has a little bit of the, what do you call it? Of the coffee in it. And then now I'm going to show you the other one. This is the regular version. I'm just going to take one out. Here's the book. I have been sitting on these since last week because he left on Thursday, so we were out Wednesday, and I was like, no, he left. Yeah, I think that's right. And I was like, I got to sit on these. This is terrible. Now I'm going to show you this. So here we go. Here's as a comparison. This is the regular, and this. So they look fairly the same. This one's a little bit more mounded up, I think. Not sure why that is, but I tell you what. This is, despite the fact that I was, part of the development of this cookie, I can't stop eating. So I've really been ignoring this bag for like the last week. I'm like, oh God, I can't look at it. I was like, I can't even take one out of it. And the thought is like, I'll just eat one until the show comes. And then I was like, oh no, if I will pound this whole bag in one sitting, like it's just not even like a problem. I was like, even with the drugs and all that, I'm like, I'm just pounding. It's maybe because especially with the drugs, I don't care. I'm just like, whatever. Let's eat. It's so terrible. Now let's have a look here at the cookie. So we're going to put this one back because this one we must preserve. We're going to use these. We're actually going to use this bag tomorrow in tomorrow's episode. I don't know if you saw that listed, but I figured we would go with the deviant first today, and then go to the original tomorrow. Powerplant says, my preferred cookie is chewy in the middle and crispy on the outside. They are always very flat and have cracks in the middle where the outside of the dough sets before in the inside. This one is definitely not that style of cookie. This is very small, very crunchy. This style I love. Like the way that he's done it, I tend to love it. But I mean, I eat all kinds of like cookie. Okay, I'll have that. Anton says, I love the Cookie Monster as a child. Fun fact, in Germany, it's called, I'm going to say it's correct, Krümelmonster, or so Crumb Monster. Ironically, I hate the crumb. Nice. Russell says, good morning. Writer technician, thank you. I didn't do anything except, just a pick. Yeah, if you saw that video on Saturday, I did a quick live stream where we're trying to figure out if I could actually fix the C's grinder, and we did. We were able to get success, unlike the last time where we had no joy, and it was terrible. Karen says, kind of like the old film, so very much similar to that. So this cookie, my cousin he loved the Famous Amos, and he felt that the Famous Amos, after a while, had kind of lost their step, right? It wasn't as good as it used to be when we were down, and he wanted to have a cookie in that vein. Now, this is something that he markets as Chihoos, the Aloha Crunch. And if you're not too familiar, Chihoos is a saying, is an expression in Hawaii. A lot of local people that live in Hawaii, they like to, you may have heard Jason Momoa make that noise, or if you saw it, I think they do it like in Lilo and Stitch. I don't tend to do it, but you know, it's a Chihoo, right? They do it really loud. It's a very Polynesian kind of expression, more about just joy and like, you know, excitement than anything else. So the typically way that they express it is CHEE in English, but you know, of course, that was already taken as a trade name, so he changed it to Chihoos. But it's so far nobody's, you know, some people might be saying Chi, but I guess if you think of like Chi, right, from Chinese, you get it. I was thinking like chai, like Chicago. But it works. Nobody has any questions about that. Nobody has any questions. Power Plant says some people love Chips Ahoy style crunchy cookie. The one style I cannot buy by is the crumble style that is quite cakey. They are just soft. You know, I do have one more crumble. My niece bought me a bunch of crumbles. There's a place for them. Like I have been eating them, but like she bought me like one that was a box of like 4, and this was like back in March. I'm still eating it. Like it's just taking a lot of time to eat. Maybe it will. I never thought about using that on the show. I can't really hate on, you know, different cookies. Like I'm not. What is it? What's the really crunchy one? Is it Tate's? I think that's it. For me, that's too thin and crunchy. Like I'm not terribly a fan of that. But Chips Ahoy, you know, I grew up. When you grow up in America, especially in the 70s and 80s, like you ate a lot of Chips Ahoy. But Chips Ahoy by itself is good, but it's like I think it really becomes more adventurous with milk. Yeah, maybe that's just because we drank it a lot that way. Anton says, I've been thinking about getting the Ode as a cheap option to play around with different burrs. But honestly, it's so unnecessary. Nothing, you know, but here's the thing. Why not have more grinders? It's all right. It's all right. You can do it. Like I've got 4, is that right? 4, 5? I have 5 drills right now, or like drills, impact drivers kind of things. And I'm just like, oh, do I need this? Yes, I do. Actually, yes, there are times when you need, like, for example, right, let's say you need to put like a screw in, right? So you have a drill that has the drill bit and you bore the hole, or actually you start off with another drill. You have another drill that has a chamfer, not a chamfering, but a countersink bit in it. You mark your spot, countersink first, then drill, and then the third drill has the actual driver on it, so you drive the screw into it. So yes, I think you do need another grinder. It's not superfluous. Perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. Power Plant says in Singapore they have famous shops where they bake the little cookies on site. They smell them. Oh, that sounds so nice. We used to have that here in America, but I haven't seen them in such a long time. Anton says I can't really hate on any cookies. Defect home, exactly. You know, like these cookies when he was making them, like I don't know what it is, my cousin, right? But he always like the amount of cookies that he actually overbakes is like shocking to me. I'm just kind of like, how is this possible? You've been doing this for how many years? You're still burning your cookies, like, maybe because he just, you know, he needs to eat for himself. So if he burns the cookies a little bit, maybe he could justify eating them. Like, oh, I just need something to eat. But yeah, those are the defective cookies, man. And I'm tearing through them, like he had a whole quart container of them the other day, and I was like, I said, dude, I'm gonna house these right now. Yeah, and they're a little bit. They got a little more burnt, like, you know, deeper that baked. Burnt, not burnt, but you know, that deeper like cooked flavor to them. But man, I'm tearing through it. So if you ever decide, so if you like the idea of these Chihoos, I did put a link to his Instagram below. Like you could message him and be like, hey, I want to buy cookies. I don't know if he's got it set up for shipping, but if you're in Hawaii, he actually goes to this farmer's market every week, so it's always available there. And he does sell a decent amount. He sells as much as he can make, and I think his biggest hindrance is production. Like it's pretty. The way he does it is pretty labor intensive. And I'm like, dude, you need to like streamline that. It's like, yeah. You know how people you spend your life with, your entire life with, yeah. Just like, all right, fine. Powerplant says, variety is the spice of life. True. Keone says, Amos actually lost the rights of his name when he sold his cookie company and they changed the recipe. He started another company, Uncle No Name Cookies, using. I remember that hearing about that. But did that didn't work out? Is that correct? Powerplant says, at my high school, they sold Otis Spunkmeyer cookies for $3 for $1. Dangerous time. Yeah, those were. And they had the little oven that says Otis Spunkmeyer. I totally like that. We would always say, give me extra soft. Oh, nice. Yeah, just don't bake it too much. Yeah, I think for me, there's a time and a place for every style. Like sometimes I don't mind this. I like this. Like they used to have the great cookie, this mall store thing. I remember when I was younger, I'd go by and just buy like 3 of them. Can I have 3 chocolate chip cookies? And I love chocolate chip cookies. Love them. Coffee Cove says, ew, power plant. That brought back memories. Spunk Myers are great. Oh, good. Power plant says, Craig says, I switched the O2 burrs to the Time More 064 turbo burrs. Was considered the SSP brew Unimoto V1, but didn't want to spend. Oh, are they expensive? Kiona says it worked out, but then that's right. He passed away, right? Quite a few years ago. All right, so let's look at the cookie. Now we're looking at the cookie. Let's try one. We'll try this one here. So there's like macadamia nuts. What's in here? Macadamia nuts, chocolate chips, flour, sugar, butter, eggs, coffee, cacao nibs, maple syrup. I can't say oats, salt, baking soda, and a lot of the stuff that my cousin puts in this, he's sourcing from Hawaii. Like for example, the where is it? Oh yeah, like the honey that he's using. Of course, he's getting macadamias from the Big Island, but he's using this sweet little honey as a component, the sweetening component. And this, I don't think he used the honey in this version of it. I think he used the honey in the regular. But so he's trying to use as much locally produced Hawaiian products as possible from all the different islands. Like this is from Kamoela on the Big Island. Let's see here, Kamoela. So I like the fact that he's trying to, feature a lot of Hawaii products, and the coffee is also from Hawaii. I need to freeze these. So there's an intersection of it. Anton says LeBrew pricing is better, and I can only say that I have the LeBrew 78 millimeter, and the quality is excellent. Oh, nice. So I have to be honest with you. Like I've been involved in the development of this. The guy's my cousin. I love the guy to death, right? But of the 2 versions, this is definitely my least favorite of the 2, and because it's the coffee, right? It's the coffee that I don't really find to be that thrilling in it, right? I think you might find it to be thrilling, but I'm just like, it doesn't need it. To me, it's superfluous, right? It's like, why do we have? I get it. People want variance, and that's I'm all in favor of that. Don't get me wrong, I'm all in favor of that. I just don't think it's as good. And I wonder, like, could it be better? I think it could. Now, there's all kinds of limitations when you're developing a product, like quality of ingredients, accessibility of ingredients, production times, and production methods that you're utilizing will all impact your costs and how much you can charge, or how much you have to charge versus how much you can charge, right? Like, Crumble is a distinct difference. Like they're charging astronomical amounts for cookies. But, there's that balance. Now, one of the things that he switched to this new coffee called the Molokai Estate. They gave me the rest of the bag. And this is the coffee that gets Molokai coffee, dark roast, midnight roast. So midnight roast. Actually, the midnight roast Let's look at it. Let's look at it. We're going to look at the midnight roast. We're going to brew the midnight roast. And we're going to see. So this coffee is coffee from a place called Molokai. Molokai is one of the 7 major islands, but one of the smaller islands, right, with less population. So here it is, midnight roast, 1.5 pounds. But, you know, he was using, I think, coffee from Kona before, but, you know, Kona is so expensive that it really impacts his price or his cost. So it's like you have to kind of balance it out. So this is from Coffees of Hawaii and Kuala Pu'u, Hawaii, which I'm presuming is on Molokai. I've only flown to the airport in Molokai. I've not actually gotten out of the airport. Oh yeah, 100 Molokai, of course, Kuala Pu'u would be. So here's it doesn't look as dark as I was thinking it's going to be. Like I thought it was going to be like black. This doesn't seem to be too bad. Coffee Cove says, I agree that it doesn't hurt to have different grinders if finances allow. Oh, yes, we don't put yourself in like financial jeopardy just because you need a grinder. There are no Brian Kwan meetups anywhere near me to try out different profiles, and this type of thing is not popular. In my area. Gotcha. PowerPoint says the coffee packaging does not inspire great. I mean, to be honest with you, this packaging, this 1.5 pound package, is that right? 1.5. This is from Costco. You get these. This is the Costco package. So. Yeah, the same. These meetups, Anton says, those meetups are the stuff of dreams. Maybe I should get in my head. What are they doing at these meetups? Are these the ones that I'm really not very good at watching a lot of coffee YouTube. So, and I see Brian's videos come across my feed, but I'll like maybe glance at them a little bit. So is he like most of his videos are not meetups, right? But I think he's had these couple meetups over the year where people bring a lot of their own equipment to try and exchange information and experience. Is that correct? I'm curious. That sounds interesting. PowerPoint says, looks like something you get at the airport. I mean, it's definitely, this is coffee that's definitely geared towards the tourist. Like it's, there's no way around that. There's no way around that. And, most people that are going to pay for these coffees are going to be tourists. LeBrew and Time War, says Craig, were about the same price for me. LeBrew was $10 more expensive. There also isn't a LeBrew 64 millimeter that was equivalent to this Time War 64 Turbo. Okay. Anton says, I was talking about the LeBrew being better pricing than SSP. Gotcha. I think that's true for S78 millimeters, maybe. Anton says he organized enthusiast meetups that gained a lot of traction. They give each other opportunities to try and geek out about expensive gears and go, oh, that might be kind of fun to host one of those. Coffee Cove says it is fun comparing burst sets with the same coffee. Brian has meetups so people can try different coffees and grinder profiles to compare and test that. Maybe I'm going to have to watch some of those videos and see. Maybe we can do something like that here. All right, so let's have a look at our coffee. So we'll look at the coffee. So it doesn't look too bad. It does have there is that roasty kind of aroma to it that generally I don't like. Sorry. But let's try it out and see what we can make with it. Okay, there we go. 24.3. Make sure the water's on boiling. Get our recently repaired Gen 2 with the standard burrs, which you guys probably disapprove of. So in reassembly, I tried it here last time. We're gonna try it here again. I think I reassembled it correctly. Luckily, it didn't. caused it to seize like that. Like, I wonder why it like got all like clogged. Maybe this is why you want to, you know, do the weighing of your coffees and making sure that there's no, what are you calling that again? No retention. Okay, like fold over our filter. Okay, let's do that there. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to tear and add the coffee. Oh, see, look at that. We put 24-1. Huh. Oh, there's a little bit more here. Okay, so 23.9. So we're losing like at least 0.2 gram, or maybe 0.2, 0.1, 0.12 grams coffee. Oh, that looks very fine. I don't know. This is not going to work out well. This is not going to work out well. All right, we got boiling water. And Keone says, to be honest, that brand of Molokai coffee was my least favorite. Well, you know, when I smelled the bag before, I don't want to say too much beforehand, but like based on what I had smelled through my olfactory senses before, all I can say is I understand. But we want to give it a fair shot at all times. Don't want to have too much prejudices before we begin. We want our prejudice to be confirmed. Okay, so when we hit that button, okay, now we're good to go. 346 grams is our target. So here we go. Because there's such a small restriction, or there's so much restriction on this compared to, let's say, the Hario, I feel like in the time that it takes me to pour the 52 grams or 50 grams, I probably would have poured 100 grams. So part of me is like, during that initial pour, like part of me is like, you need to stop pouring because you're pouring way too much, but I'm really not. It's just like, that's just my own internal monitor being like, you're out of control. So we're gonna brew this because we want to see how does this coffee taste with the coffee that's because it's the same coffee that's in the cookie. So Powerplant says, I was such a fan of Kwan when he started his channel, but he quickly became quite pretentious when people asked about his expensive grinder, I'm sorry to hear that. I've met Brian on occasion. He seems to be fairly personable in person. I haven't really met, I haven't, I've met Brian Kwan. Of YouTubers, I've met Brian, and I've met Hoon, Emily Bryant. Those are the coffee YouTubers that I'm familiar with, and besides James, that I've met over the years or over the last couple of years. I'm not even paying attention. We're kind of slow now. Now we're kind of slow. Yeah, definitely. I think this is too fine a grind. I'm going to give it another 3 clicks and push it a little bit more. I'm presuming that with this fine a grind at the setting, the Oat Gen 2 could be set to grind down to espresso level. Would that be correct? Have you guys experienced that? Oh, use the brush. Right. The brush. It's in the box. I still don't take that. Oh, no, I've got a brush somewhere. Do I have a brush somewhere here? I'll have to look for it another time. Power plant says, not surprised there's some notice retention after cleaning. So because you didn't get that, there's just build up inside. Fines will can't speak English. The power plant says fines will equilibrate inside the grinder. Gotcha. Anton says, I bet. No, actually, Brian did not. Though the coffee YouTubers, even though they may have had press passes, did not come to the press events. Brian, I ran into Brian this year. He was, where was he? Brian was, we were all at, I think we were at CQA's, no, not CQA's booth, not CQI's, but Cup of Excellence. We were at Cup of Excellence, and Brian was there, Hoon was there, and I was kind of like, oh, look, Asian coffee YouTubers unite. Funny. But I've met Brian at other SCAs, and mostly in passing. Like Emily, I met 2 years ago in Portland. Like she was sitting at the table next to us at Proud Mary's, and I was like, oh. She was like, hey. I said, oh, hey. She's very nice. I really like Emily. All right, 346. Oh, I'm not paying attention to that. There we go, 346. So we're fully brewed now. We'll let it flow through. A little bit long, 434. So the grind definitely needs to be tweaked more. We might need to use some bypass. I'm using that term a lot now. Hey, can I add some water? Do you need some more water in your iced tea? You need some bypass? All right, sounds good. Sounds good. You know, hey, add more liquid to the stock as it reduces. Oh, you need some bypass? Okay, got it. All right, so we're getting there. 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes. So a little bit long in the brew. Well, what can you do? Paige, good morning to you. How are you? Kiona says, I have 2 mini grinders, 3 for the condo and 3 for my house with an additional hand grinder for the house. Oh, that's not too many. Come on now, that's not too many. Oh, we can use this white surface as our reflective surface. Let's pour this out. Let's see. How does it look? Okay, here it is. Chihoos coffee, what's called? The version is called All Right. Coffee Magnut Crunch cookies that are made using this coffee. So looks fairly clean as far as the brew. Tight and a little bit pungent on the nose. Ooh. Ooh, what is that? Some strong bitternesses. Not a clean sweet coffee. Not that. It's not clean or sweet. I think you'd have to add. Keone says it's not one of his most favorite Hawaii coffees, and I agree. There's definitely better Hawaii coffees out there. Not too roasty as far as like the rope, but it has this. Yeah, it's just not. I don't know what it is. Keone says, I use one for pour over and one for the espresso with a backup one. And Power Plant says, indignant and self-righteous, I used to watch the live streams and he blew up a few times at people asking why he only used endgame grinders. Oh, well, why wouldn't you use endgame grinders? But I get it. Some people get upset and they're like, hey, like I hear a lot of YouTubers in the woodworking sphere, like they always feel like they have to apologize when they use Festool. It's like, why are you apologizing? Just because there's a lot of people that are upset, like, oh, we can't. Why are you using it? But whatever. But I think that you do have to try to enhance your calm, right? Like you can't let people get under your skin about things. Coffee Cove says, on my first 3 to 4 tries of different coffees of co-ferments, I did not like those as it left a weird taste. Unpleasant that stuck for a while. I recently tried another that said low funk, and that was better, but still enough funk to not rebuy. I think if you don't like the idea of funk, you shouldn't try any funky coffees. Because just the idea that it's fermented to the point that it starts to become blue cheesy, to get that funkiness, you're like. I originally ground this type of process on 64 millimeter SSP MP and Sculptor 78 Turbo. This time tried the Barazza Vario ceramic burr and was amazed. Oh, I didn't think that that Barazza was allowed in this palace anymore. Nice. All right. This time, because no funk and the bean was pleasant to drink. Nice. I didn't have more to try to test out more in that bird. Understood. Maybe time to order some more. Power Plant says those Costco coffees are warehouse for so long. Expect no, yeah, you can't. Although they used to have in Costco. The Costco. I want to say Costco Evile, but maybe it wasn't. But one of the Costco's in Honolulu years ago used to sell Kona coffee, probably sourced from Greenwell, right? I'm almost certainly sourced from Greenwell, for $13 a pound. Like, that was a crazy price. I was like, what? How is that possible? And this is within the last 20 years that I've been in the business. I was like, what? How's that possible? And here's the thing. The thing about that was interesting, that they roasted on site. Like, they had this huge, like, civets roaster. And I was like, whoa, look at this place. This is crazy. $13 a pound, that's worth buying. So I don't know if they still do that today, but yeah. But no. To your point, though, for sure, anything that's packaged like this has definitely been has spent some time in whatever distribution chain that they had to use. Although I don't know how long these are coffees from Hawaii, sold in Hawaii. So I don't know necessarily how long they would have been in storage. Well, there is no. Do they have any production stampings on here? The more commercial coffee companies will have like date codes on it. Nothing. That's strange. All right, let's try with the cookie. My critical error with these cookies, and I'm going to have to try to do tomorrow. I'm going to take this and put this in the freezer, because before you left, my cousin had some in the freezer, and I was like, oh, frozen, they're awesome. But this one that's been sitting out here for the past like week or so, or maybe a week, these are not as crunchy. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, yeah. The sweetness and the flavor of the cookie really balances it out. Like, it actually makes the coffee together really nice. Like, when I was hypothesizing, theorizing this in my mind over the past like week, thinking about this together, thinking how I smelled the coffee, and I was like, oh God, that smells not so pleasant. And I remember eating the cookie separate, and I could taste the coffee in the cookie. Right? I think I even told my cousin, I was like, you know what's that? I think it'd be better if you use a better coffee. But together, perfectly enjoyable. Now, if you're smart, or if you want to savor, you want to take the cookie, right? Here's this. These are small. Look at my hand. Look how small they are. You should just take one bite. Right? The small bites. Kind of like a Tootsie Roll Pop. But much like a Tootsie Roll Pop, man, you just can't. So when I toss the whole one, that is my like sense of defiance, my sense of indulgence, of gluttony, right? Just and sheer hedonism is just like this whole cookie. Instead of biting it and like small pieces, that's how you need. Yeah. All right. That's actually now I don't know what's gonna be like after with like the aftertaste, but in the moment, like when you make bad decisions in life, like but perhaps you did things with that person you probably shouldn't have done. At the moment, it seems great, and then late the next morning, like, what was I thinking? Coffee Cove says was better, but still enough funk to not rebuy. I originally ground this type of process on 60. Oh, I read that right. Gotcha. Power Plant says these people are getting the equipment at a discount or free. They need to check themselves and touch ground. Do you think Brian gets his stuff for free? Maybe I need to like do that more. Do something to get more free. I've always been very bad at that. Like I'm not gonna be on your jock because you got equipment that I want to try out. And I'm so bad at pretending to do that, to be that kind of person. Johnny says at the Hawaii Costco, I would get the Kauai coffee over the Kona. Way too expensive even in Costco and Molokai. The Kauai coffee was really nice, but I prefer ka'u beans. I agree with you. For me, ka'u, especially from Rusty's mom, I'm all about that. I'm all about that speed. Powerplant says, unrelated, are you a fan of Wes Anderson? In my opinion, I have not really enjoyed a film of his since the 20. Wes Anderson, that's an interesting one. He's one of those film people that you're expected to like. I respect his work. I appreciate what he does. But I'm not terribly moved by it, mostly. It's interesting because when I was in college, right? I went to NYU for a bit, but I also went to I graduated from this small college in Hawaii. Very small liberal arts college called Hawaii Law College. It was absorbed in 1992 by Hawaii Pacific University. Very ugly, but very small college. Like, we're talking like hyper small. It was smaller than my high school. There was 400 students, and half of the students were nursing students, so you almost never saw them. So there's like 200 students that you hung out with all the time. So it's really a wonderful place to be. But whatever discipline that you're interested in, there's not going to be too many people. And I was interested in film, and so I was like one of the very few people in film. And I remember we had this professor who was teaching a film class, and I was like, "All right, awesome." And I took the class with the girl I was dating at the time, but it turns out that I'm a film as narrative kind of person. Like, I like narrative movies, and I love them. I love them. That's what I wanted to make. That's all I ever wanted to make, and that's what I wanted to be part of. Feature narratives, what you watch at the movie theaters, and like Mission Impossible, Clerks, whatever the case may be. Like all of those, I wanted, like Hollywood style movies, which to me were great. One of my professors that we finally took a class with, he was a film as art guy. So he loved art films. And I remember we're watching all these films, and I'm just like, it was good for me to watch these films because, it was very different than what I liked. But I remember I was like, this is so, and I would like, he would ask, what do you think? I was like, well, I just think it's dumb or whatever was on my mind at the moment. I'm really bad at like not at holding back my thoughts on things if you ask me. So it's like, because I just don't want to have to lie, and I don't want to have to make up something, and I don't want to, and more importantly with lying, I don't have to remember. I don't want to remember what I told you. So if I just give you my stream of thought consciousness, then I never have to worry about like, oh, did I get it consistently? Because I'll always be like, well, I thought that sucked. And what do you think about that? It sucked. But, so it was kind of like we kind of butted heads a little bit. But, so for me, it's like I do appreciate what he does. It's not necessarily to my taste, but not everything is going to be. Anton says, not sure not sure it is so easy to get a $4,000 grinder for free. Also, if you have it, why not use it? I agree. If you got the grinder, it would be like me making woodworking videos and buying a whole bunch of like Ryobi and just using that while I have a whole collection of Festool. It doesn't make any sense. If you have great tools, use them. That's why you bought them, or that's why you sourced them. Because I do believe that, while we can make anything with it, just about anything. Like, we're at a point in time now where people have been making coffee for centuries, right? Centuries now. And never have they had the level of equipment that we have today. So, you can make it with anything, but I gotta say, when you have nice tools, like for example, Craig just said, he bought this Reg Barber. He just ordered. You could use anything to tap your coffee, like your espresso. But when you have a quality tool to work with, God, it is so much nicer. There's something nice about it. And this is, I guess in the world of temp, I don't know how much they are now, but these tampers, are more expensive than other tampers. They do the same thing. They tamp the coffee. How complex can that be? But there's something joyful in the quality and the feel, the texture, the tactile feel of it, to use it. Everything about it is just brilliant. Brilliant. To the point that I don't even bother to buy anything else. It's like, why would I buy that? I don't know. This is all you need, So I do think there's a place for all of that. And I can't, but I do think, so while I do see why some people will be like, oh, why are you using this expensive grinder? But also, I'm using an expensive grinder because I have one, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I also think that, as a YouTuber, if you're a YouTuber and you're, dealing with the audience, or much like as you're a coffee shop operator dealing with your guests, I think there's a more thoughtful way to proceed with criticisms, or criticism. I mean, there's always a positive way to. There's always a more gentle approach to be had. Like, we would get a lot of reviews at Spro, and so like sometimes the reviews are bad. Like, some people don't like things, and you know what? There's always going to be something wrong that happens out there in the world. Like, even a small company, it's with just a few employees comparatively to other companies. It's still a complex machine that while you're trying to get everybody on board and moving in the same direction, it's just not going to happen all the time. Like, I just read this article yesterday, a friend of mine sent to me, about here at BWI at Baltimore's airport. I think it was a United flight. United flight came in. They got diverted from flying to Dulles. They were flying somewhere to Dulles. They couldn't land because of weather, so they diverted to Baltimore, it's a 15-minute flight. Like, it's super close, right? They were diverted. They wouldn't for whatever reason, they were gonna, like, I guess they were planning to go, just wait it out and go right back. So evidently the people ended up being there for like 5 hours on the plane. And finally the airline relented and let them, brought them back to the gate, let them come off. We're going to put them back on. And for some reason, they had this exchange with this woman, this Asian woman, where they're like, wouldn't let her board. But what evidently had happened, they confused her with another Asian woman 7 rows ahead of her. And the woman that they were detaining was like, I didn't see even her like business travel companions were like, she didn't do anything. And she got booted. Her companions didn't fly the rest of the way. And it's like, how do you've got, and who knows, maybe there could be some kind of issues with the gate agent or whatever, or the ground staff there. But I fly United mainly, so I've met a lot of the ground staff at BWI. They don't seem perfectly competent, but everybody has like their off days, or everybody has maybe some kind of like predilection for something or whatever. And so it's difficult to have everyone moving at the same pace, at the same time, in the same mission at all times. So, when that happens, and you have to address that, like let's say at Spro with reviews, I think it's important to try to be as thoughtful in the way that you respond to make it worthwhile. And for me, it's like, the people would come and they would complain about things, and I would read all the reviews, whether they were good or bad. And I really like the bad ones because I thought the bad ones were more interesting to me, because I want to know, as an operator, I want to know where the bad is. Where have we made missteps, and what can we do to improve that, right? Are these things that we can correct and make better? And so I would always, if you left a bad comment on our Yelp page, I would always respond at some point and be like, and it was never, and I've seen like business owners, and they're all like, oh man, they're all like, I hate Yelp, blah, 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 blah. It's like, why do you hate Yelp? Because it's telling you what you're doing wrong, and you can't face that. Face what's going on. And then, because to me, it was like, I would try to explain things and like talk about what their issue was. But for me, it was never really about addressing the person directly. Right? Like, it was never about them. A little bit, but not mostly. Mostly it was for everybody else, right? Like, if they see, like, the people that are reading the Yelp reviews, they see, well, this guy had this experience. Oh, here's the owner writing back to him. And, a lot of owners, they want to go off on the people, tell them that they were like, jerk offs or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't, if you read a review and you see the owner and he's like, well, you were just a jerk off. Like, most of the time you're like, well, the guy's just a jerk off too. So why should we go there? It was always, for me, it was always about the readers, right? Like, this response is for the readers, so that the readers can see that, okay, so there's mistakes that can happen. Hopefully the message that they would see is that the owners or the people that are running the place are interested in making things better. So hopefully the message that they receive is that this place, even though we've seen this review that maybe puts a little question in our minds, reinforces this response, reassures us that we should still give it a try and see for ourselves. To me, that's the whole thing. And I think this discussion here that you mentioned, Anton, is that's important. And illustrative of that is that, whoever may have said that about the grinder, whatever, sure. And, obviously, I would imagine that this is probably a comment that he probably got a lot. So he's like a little bit hot under the collar, but they're like, oh, God, here we go again. So he probably went off on the guy. But you saw that. And that eroded your confidence in him. And to me, that's truly the game that we're playing. That's truly the battle that we have to have. Is not necessarily for the person that's offering criticism or that had a bad experience. We want that person to reconsider and come back. But really, I want to make sure that everyone else knows that they should come still and try us out. Right? That's really what I think about. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had many experiences in the 25 years that I've had my own business, 26 years, especially early on when I was a lot younger. That, man, I was like wild. Like, I remember I've kicked people out in very wild circumstances, right? So, this is my perspective much years down the road after doing a lot of that crazy stuff. So, and it's certainly, if I look back upon it now and I think about then, and if those customers were like, they remember me, they're like, well, that guy was an asshole. Yeah, I was. I really was. So, what can you do? What can you do? Kent's with us. What's going on, Kent? Late to the show today. Have been on a short trip picking elderflowers for syrup making. Nice. I like that. I presume, okay, so it's now 10:50. It's 11 o'clock almost here. You're probably, 7 hours ahead of us? Oh, so you're still well in daylight right now. You're still well in daylight. But you're getting daylight until 11 up there? 10:30, 11? Paige says, Wes Anderson is only okay to me. I just don't enjoy most of his clutching. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is for me, too. It's like, it's cool. It's cool. Like I said, I mean, no hate on him. It's just not, maybe not, it just doesn't always necessarily appeal to me. Like, I don't quite get it. The whole, pastel colors that all the YouTubers love about it. It's like, cool. Powerplant says, Isle of Dogs and The Fantastic Mr. Fox are excellent films. Oh, I've not seen those. The animation worked great for his style. Okay. Oh, those are both animations. Okay. Oh, and that's one Page did like. Coffee Grove says, I was at the Chicago Expo in 24 and got to meet Emily Bryant, Hoon, Jonathan Gain. Oh, and I'm not familiar with it, and a few others. All were nice. And I think most people that are in the coffee world are nice people overall. But also the other part of it is that, if you're out there in the world, it behooves you to be nice. Like, whether or not you're a YouTuber, it just behooves you to be nice. But I got to tell you, when you're a YouTuber or someone that's involved in some kind of media, it can get a little strange. Like many years ago, back in 2007, myself and Nick Cho started this podcast. It was the first coffee podcast called the Portafilter.net podcast. I think the episodes are still online. You can still listen to them. Really, I think at the time it was the only podcast in coffee. It was everyone in the industry listened to it. So it was really kind of fun. And Nick and I think we had good rapport on the show. I guess we were kind of like what's that called? Mythbusters, right? We kind of found ourselves at a little bit of odds later in the run of the show, but early on, very, very. He was actually a very close friend of mine for many years. But the one time, this is like the first time I ever had a taste of what celebrities must experience. Is that we were out. Him and I were out, and we were somewhere, maybe at an event. I can't remember where we were, but we were somewhere, and this guy comes up to us. And he's talking to us, and he's joking with us. And I mean, he's making jokes with us, like how you joke with your closest friends, kind of a little bit of innuendo or really deep, kind of when you talk with your really tight friends, there's a whole level of familiarity that you have with them that you probably don't have with anyone else, with many other people. It was like that, and that was how Nick and I were. But back then, this guy comes up to us, and he's got that level of familiarity. And it was kind of weird. He made these jokes, and we're like, yeah. We don't know how to react because we don't know him from Adam, right? We don't know him at all. It was the first time we ever met him. He's a really nice guy, but really for our first time meeting him. And I was like, and it hit me in the middle of it. I was like, I remember. Okay. I was thinking, this is weird. But then when it hit me, I was like, oh, we don't know him. But he knows us very well. He's been listening for 2 years by this point. And it's so he's got a very familiar relationship with me and Nick, but we haven't met him yet. So we're just starting out. So it's I don't know. And that's one thing I think that if you're in the YouTube sphere, you have to kind of, keep that in mind, is that people may have been watching and may know you, a lot of your quirks, a lot of your interests, but you may not necessarily have the connection with them, and which is why it's nice with these live streams that I get to talk to you guys, and you get to tell me your stories and tell me what you like, what you dislike. So there's more of a learning that's two-way rather than just through podcasts or videos where it's just broadcasting, right? Powerplant says, has anyone not felt worse after being overly emotional? I mean, people who are actually people and not, well, we're kind of filled with those nowadays. Ken says, I'm 6 hours ahead of you, and these days it doesn't really get dark at all. Oh, no need for streetlights. Wow, really? That's amazing. the most northern that I've been was Edmonton, Canada. And I think it did get dark in July. Like I think it does get dark, but not till like maybe midnight. Because I remember we were out one night on one of the high streets, just kind of drinking on the street, at a restaurant. I remember telling my friend, I said, dude, what time is it? I thought it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I said, dude, it's 11:30. I was like, 11:30? Holy crap. Crazy. So, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so here it is, the All Right cookies from Chihoos. Of course, I like these. And I like it better, actually, now that I like it better when you're having the coffee. Like, if you had them separately, to me, there's a little bit of, it's not as enjoyable. Like, the coffee is, it is what it is. And because the coffee is used in this, it kind of gives that flavor that's not so pleasant. But now together, I dig it. Just matter. You can't do anything but. Oh my God, that's good. Now I gotta not try not to. How many more left? Oh, there's like 6 left. I'm gonna stay them. All right, so tomorrow we're gonna try these with a different coffee. So I hope you have a great one. Back again tomorrow. I hope the elderflower syrup goes well. And everybody else, hope you have a wonderful evening or wonderful day, wherever you are, maybe. And PowerPoint says people are free to like or dislike whatever. Just try not to yuck others. Exactly. I've kind of learned that over the years, like trying not to be too condescending about my particular sourcing over others. Like, you went to Costco, Sam's Club, Pepsi. Right. I've learned not to be that bad anymore. All right, so have a great one, and see you next time.